Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. And I was not expecting to be making a second video tonight, let alone at 10 p.m. But Elliot Friedman dropped an absolute nuclear bomb report tonight when he said that William Nylander's extension could be done as early as Monday with an AAV around $11.5 million for 8 years. Literally, I think it was during the second intermission of the Leafs game. This came out. Twitter went absolutely nuts. William Nylander would go on to score 2 goals and an assist in that game. The price might even be higher come Monday, but it looks like there is some type of framework around the William Nylander deal right now, and it is a massive, massive deal. First, we're going to talk about how William Nylander is playing this year, what I think about the deals, then we're going to dive into some comparables, how the Leafs are going to make it work with their salary cap situation. But when looking at William Nylander, these stats are not updated with tonight's stats. He currently has 21 goals, 33 assists for 54 points in 37 games, which puts him on pace for 46 goals, 73 assists, and 119 points. And when it comes to William Nylander, we just kept on saying, he's been putting up this pace all season, but we've been kept on saying, like, he's going to slow down. He's going to slow down. And again, he's only played 37 games. Do I think he's going to get 119 points? Probably not, but he has maintained this pace. And the Leafs just got to a point where, yeah, if he actually goes for 119, we're probably going to pay him like $12 million, 12.5. Let's just pay him now. We already bled a bunch of money because when you look at it coming into the season, people thought the comparable for him for the most part was Timo Meier, 8 years, $8.8 million, probably 8 years, 8 years, $9 million, because he is a much more dynamic player than Timo Meier, even without Timo Meier's hindsight, now that his deal's not looking that very good. But everybody thought around 8 years, $9 million. Obviously, Toronto Maple Leafs, their free agents tend to ask for a lot more. So maybe coming into the season, we thought 8 years, 9.5, and slowly that number just absolutely skyrocketed. And when it comes to William Nylander, obviously 11.5 is a massive, massive payday. And I think he is worth it if he keeps on playing like he is this year. You look at him, it has been a positive progression starting in 2020, 2021. He put up 42 points in 51 games, then 80 and 81, then 87 and 82, and now obviously 54 and 37. Is it a little bit weird that he did this, that this massive jump from 87 points last year to 119 points this year happened in a contract year when he's 27 years old? I tend to think so. I'm not saying he didn't improve. I think he is probably a 90 to 95 point guy after this season, maybe 100 points. I just think contract years are kind of a thing. We see it a ton of times. Guys absolutely ball out in their contract years, then don't really come close to replicating that. And again, the thing with William Nylander is his contract year isn't even over yet. But I think this is definitely the best year that we'll see from William Nylander. But if he can put up 45 goals and 50 assists at 11.5, I don't love it. I don't think that's like amazing value, but you can definitely swallow it. He cannot revert to 2022, 2023 Nylander. If he's only going to put up 40 goals and 47 assists, that's not worth 11.5 for the next 3 seasons at least, even with the cap rising every single year. So they're going to need to get at least 45 goals, 50 assists every single year on this going forward, because when you look at him compared to the rest of the league starting next year, if this is 11.5, he's going to be the 5th highest paid player in the entire NHL, behind David Pastrnak, who I'm going to dive into later. But yeah, you're just going to need to see this sustained level of play from William Nylander going forward, or else people are going to turn on this contract quick. Because when you think about contracts, he had a bridge deal and he's 24 or 25 when he's signing this, or this was off an ELC, like a Jack Hughes, like as soon as he locked him up long term. He is going to be 28 years old when this kicks in. So it's not, again, it's going back to that 24. When you sign a guy off his ELC at 21, you expect him to be that same value throughout his entire contract. When you're signing a 28-year-old to this massive deal, you want to get somewhat of a discount on those first couple of years, considering you are giving him 8 years into his mid to late 30s. 11.5 isn't that much of a discount for William Nylander, even right now, based on what I think he is. I guess if he is a 119-point player going forward, 11.5 is maybe a little bit of discount, but I think no one actually thinks that he's going to be a consistent, high-level, top 15, top 10 player in the entire league. I would have him top 30. I think that's fair. He was like 34th in my last top 50 in the entire league. He's definitely going to jump into top 30 now. But again, to be the 5th highest paid player, and I know Erik Karlsson makes 11.5, but just saying, like the 5th highest paid player is very, very high, and there's a lot of forwards that I still would take over William Nylander going forward, and especially given his age. When looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs, people are saying, how are they going to fit this? It's kind of simple, in my opinion. You're going to have to give TJ Brody, either let TJ Brody go, his $5 million cap hit, or sign him for much cheaper. Bertuzzi's as good as gone, in my opinion. That's $5.5 million. Max Domi, maybe they can re-sign for cheap. They're just going to have to bring in, at least on a one-year deal, they're going to have to do this one-year deal thing again that they did do with Domi or Bertuzzi, but they're not going to have $5.3 million. They're going to have to bring in some cheap guys on one-year deals until that John Tavares contract comes off the books. His $11 million is going to go down to $7-8 million. So next year is going to be a little bit of a crunch because, again, Matthews goes from 11.6 to 13.25. Nylander's now going from 6.9 to 11.5 probably. So next year is going to be a little bit of a crunch. The Leafs will still be a very, very good team. But after that, with the cap going up, with that Tavares contract off the books for the most part, off the books, yes, or at a severe pay decrease, they're going to be fine in terms of the salary cap situation. One thing that does scare me with this deal a little bit is what the hell happens to Mitch Marner? He's eligible for an extension on July 1st this year. And although, yes, William Nylander is by far outplaying Mitch Marner right now. Mitch Marner is like hovering around just over 1 point per game right now. Not as good defensively as last year when he was goddamn Selke finalist. But when looking at Marner in his camp, they're going to ask for $11.5 million as well. And although they probably shouldn't get it, I can see where the logic is with Mitch Marner in his camp wanting at least $11.5 million, considering you look at the prior 3 seasons before this season, and I agree, this season is the season that matters the most at the end of the day. What are you doing for me lately? But when you look at the prior 3 seasons, the COVID-shortened season, 2021-2022, and 2022-2023, Nylander's stats is 91 goals, 118 assists, 209 points in 214 games, so just under point per game. Marner, meanwhile, has 85 goals, 178 assists, 263 points in 207 games. So Marner has 54 more points than Nylander in 7 less games in the 3 prior seasons to that. So Mitch Marner in his camp is gonna bring that to Brad Treliving and say, yeah, Nylander had a contract year, but my client has been the number 2 option on this team over the last 5 years for the most part. So that's going to be very interesting to see. I think Marner, they're probably, especially because he's not having this great year, I think they're going to get something done this summer, but it's going to be very interesting to see what that number comes to. If it balloons to $12.5 million, that could be a shit show. But yeah, that's a this summer problem. They're just happy that they locked up William Nylander. As for some comparisons, again, I point to Pasternak. He's the only real comparison given how big this deal is. And he got 8 years, $11.25 million. And mind you, that was early March. That was 2 months into his 2 months more into his contract year than William Nylander. He was already cruising to 60 goddamn goals, or at least 55. Like they knew he was gonna get at least like break 50, break 55. And he had 61 goals and 52 assists for 113 points that year. I think William Nylander is not going to touch that. And Pasternak had a much longer track record. Obviously won the goddamn Rocket Richard in 2019, 2020. So when you look at that comparison, that is the most comparable deal, elite right winger. It's not that good of a deal, in my opinion, for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But Pastos looks goddamn team-friendly right now because they are the same age. They're 2014 draftees. I think Pasta's like, I looked it up like before I filmed this. Pasta's a month or 2 older, but Pasta got that deal a year earlier, so he's a year younger on his deal technically, and $2.25 million less, $250K less. If you're a Boston Bruins fan, you got to be happy about that deal when you look at it compared to William Nylander. As for some other comparisons or future deals that have to get made, what is Elias Pettersson going to get? Goddamn, 100 points last year, breaks the 100-point mark. This year, probably going to break 100 points as well on a playoff team leading the Canucks to the playoffs, or one of the top 3 players leading the Canucks to the playoffs. He's 3 years older. He was a 2017 draftee versus 2014. He already has that 100-point record from last year, probably going to do it again. And he plays center instead of right wing like William Nylander. So when you look at a Pettersson and his management, that's got to be $12 million at least at least when you look at him. And if it's a 4 or 5 year deal, it's probably 12.5 because you don't have to worry about the regression towards the end. So, yeah, if your fellow Swede, Elias Pettersson, you are very happy that William Nylander signed this deal before you. Because for Pettersson, I thought like coming into Seattle, like 8 years, 11.25. That would be a steal right now for the Vancouver Canucks. Because again, it's not even like Pettersson plays in an American market with no income tax. Vancouver's tax like about the same as goddamn Toronto, so there's not even like the Toronto, how they say they get screwed by the salary cap because of post-tax earnings. I should make an entire video on that. But a guy that will probably sign for much cheaper, that is also an elite unrestricted free agent this summer because he plays in Florida. Sam Reinhart now is also probably licking his chops. I don't think he's going to get 11.5 because, again, Florida seems to take care of their guys. They got Barkov at 10. They got Tkachuk at goddamn 9.5. But I think that I think his number has to be at least 9.5 right now when looking at a William Nylander. Right now he has 28 goals, 22 assists for 50 points in 39 games. Just had a goddamn hat trick. And he's better defensively than William Nylander. I do think Nylander is a better player. He's a much better offensive playmaker than a Sam Reinhart. But Reinhart's far better defensively. But when looking at that, they are the same age. They were taken in 2014. So if you're Sam Reinhart, it's going to be very funny when he signs for like 9.5 or 9.75. And then the Toronto Maple Leafs fans are going to scream about, oh, the no income tax. Oh, it's so unfair. Oh, woe is me. I play in the biggest hockey market in the entire league with the most amount of players from the area. Woe is me. But those are just some guys. Pasta, when looking at the Pasta deal compared to Nylander, doesn't look that good. Pettersson going to get absolutely paid. Reinhart going to get absolutely paid. And just overall, I would give this deal like a C minus maybe. I don't think this is going to be like a Jonathan Huberdeau, like fall off a cliff. Like Reinhart, but Nylander, I think at least is going to be a 40 and 40 guy, probably like 45 and 45 going forward. But at 11.5, fifth highest paid player in the entire league with his track record, it is a little risky for the Toronto Maple Leafs, even with the cap going up. But let me know in the comments. What do you think about this deal? Is it a great deal by the Leafs? I'll just go with a C. They did fumble this in terms of not signing him in the offseason, and even at this price is massive. I'll go with a C. It's very average, maybe below average. But I want to hear from you guys, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.